Hey, thank you for having me tonight. My name's Amy Adams. I work with Appalachian Voices. And in case you haven't heard me speak before, I also had the honor of working for the North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources for the last 9 years. I left because I no longer felt good about what I was doing and where the direction that the agency was headed. We all drink the water and we all need protections, and the state is failing to provide that protection for its citizens. Coal ash is the second largest industrial waste stream in America, yet it is currently less regulated than your household garbage. States and utilities have demonstrated that they either cannot or will not maintain the structural integrity, the monitoring, or fully enforce a vast network of waste disposal sites across our state. The legislators in North Carolina have repeatedly cut the staff and funding of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. They are nearly a 40% cut from 2005 levels. This is the single agency that is charged with enforcing the environmental rules that protect the public from pollution that comes from industry or development in North Carolina. Legislators have repeatedly bowed down in front of the industry needs and against the needs of its people. These rules are put in place to protect the environment so that it is safe for the public. They were never meant to be easy or cheap. They are not an empty bureaucratic exercise. It costs money to put in proper safeguards. That's the God's honest truth. It takes money to monitor a site. It costs the state money to hire knowledgeable inspectors who are going to be on the ground watching out for these problems. Yes, it costs money. But what price do you put on a community's welfare and health? What price do you put on the people that call these industries neighbor? The General Assembly views environmental work and environmentalists as obstacles of bureaucratic resistance. They're just an annoyance, another hoop that industry has to get through in order to do business. They think that it was just written at the hands of a bunch of idealist environmentalists, but that's simply not true. These rules and these restrictions are here to protect the environment, not because we want to live in grass huts, but because we want clean air and clean resources for the citizens of North Carolina with a long-term vision that affects North Carolina not only today, but for future generations of North Carolina families. Personally, I want someone with a science and engineering and technical background to put up resistance when it's needed. I want that person standing in front of industry and saying no when it needs to. These are the guys who are out there making sure that the engineering calculations are right, that the lab work is correct, that the site is in proper order, so that these industries and their discharges do not hold harm to our communities. These guys should be out there using the best science has to offer to protect today's citizens and tomorrow's future generations. Science and humanity and not profits is what should drive our environmental decisions in North Carolina. At least that's what I think. We have seen what happens when an agency doesn't enforce its rules and fails to safeguard its people. We've had a front row seat to the debacle that has been the state agency trying to regulate Duke Energy. States which fail to enforce their environmental rules or those that weaken rules are selling their citizens' health for the sake of industry profit. What happens to the environment has a direct link to our communities and the health of our communities. Duke Energy's coal ash ponds are impacting not only the 14 communities across our state that live next to these plants, but millions of North Carolina who get their drinking water from the rivers that run next to these leaking toxic coal ash ponds that Duke Energy is using as their dumping ground. We're going to need a federal rule, because clearly the states will not stand up for its citizens. I would sit here before you today and say that we need a state rule, but a state rule only if it comes with the renewed funding and support for the Department of Environment and Natural Resources and an administration that has the will to stand up for the people and the environment and be the watchdog that it's meant to be, not the lapdog hand-holding of industry that it's turned into today.
Couldn't help but hear you say how you had to make a moral decision.
That I did.
Whether I stay in a job and get my retirement, do all that stuff and make money, when I know in fact that that agency is not doing what it should be doing, and regardless of who's in party. You know, in some ways, both parties have failed. One of the things that's different now, though, about the extremists, that they're not failing, they're falling backwards. In other words, one thing not to move forward, but it's another thing to then want to pass laws that take us even further backwards. And it's another thing to have an attitude. I was thinking about that while you were saying that. You have this group of extremists. They want government in your marriage. They want government in your bedroom. They want government in a woman's right. They want government in prayer, but they don't want government in a polluted pond. That really, it makes no sense. You know, it's just like that whole agenda that they have. You know, the extremists deny public education, deny health care, deny unemployment, deny tax credits to the working poor, deny women's rights, deny LGBT rights, deny voting rights, deny environmental rights, but give the wealthy more tax cuts, and then after you do that, give people more guns. The whole framework of that kind of policy, you know, it's kind of a polluted mindset. You know, it's a polluted mindset. And I agree with you that we have to be the ones to say, we can handle our bedrooms, we can handle our bodies, and we can handle prayer. You get government on top of this pollution. That's where we need government.